just to mention, if the body cells or the mind didn't respond so far, there is nothing wrong. The recommendation is to be in a love state, in a respectful state. You know, some of our inner aspects are overwhelmed with all those things happening now. So they need some time to adjust to that. I can tell you one experience I had with my mind. All of a sudden, at one day, my mind told me he needs time. He don't want to talk with me. And that was for 3 days. I had no chance to talk with my mind. And what happened, basically, he tried to arrange all these new things happening. And then he was ready because he adjusted basically the view of the world so far. And he was ready to move further on. So there is nothing wrong if there is no answer. By the way, that is a very good sign. I would like to mention, if you have in your events participants telling you, I didn't receive anything, that is excellent. You know why? Because it is the truth. If there would be an information he just created to say anything, to be not alone among all those participants, instead he's saying, I didn't receive anything, that is more important than telling something which is based on fantasy. So receiving nothing is positive, because then you understand that there is no information available. What the reason is forever, whatever, but you can follow up with that step by step. Be patient, and all is okay. Just to mention this. Okay, now let's move forward. We come to cooperation with plants. What really, I strongly recommend that all telepathy centers, and I have recognized some of your comments in chat show that you would like to work with plants, with herbs, and so on, that you work and cooperate with plants. And I will show you why. This here is a description, a very brief description, how our symposiums, our first contact events are built up or set up. We have basically 2.5 days covering on the first half day background information about extraterrestrial civilizations. By the way, for all those not listened yet to the introduction seminars, the webinars we had during last week, please just leave a note in the chat system that you would like also to have an introduction to the extraterrestrial civilizations, 1.5 hours approximately. Then we will follow up with you and arranging a new meeting. Then we have the theoretical principles and some practical exercises. And the next day we intensify our exercises and the theoretical part, but give some additional information about the disclosure event and telepathy centers and so on. And then the third day we have that full focus on communication with our ET friends, right? And here on the right side, you see that image, and that is one of the team members, that's Eva. And she has that kind of object, that metal object, and that is basically a plant. And this exercise, what we are doing is the following. Yeah, because there was one statement, you cannot be sure by 100% all the time. That is the exercise we are doing to help people to trust the telepathic communication. So we ask the plant, And that could be a herb, a flower, a blossom, a piece of wood, whatever that I decide from time to time in the supermarket in the morning. I ask the plant whether they would like to join this telepathic exercise. They will be wrapped in metal foil, in aluminium foil, and they need to communicate with the participants and saying yes or no if they would like to communicate with the participants or not. And then the task for that plant would be to tell the participants about the healing power. And that is very interesting, because even this object here has this size, it could be a small blossom. We just try to alter and hide the original plant. That is the case. And we have many, many additional metal foil layers. And even we use a mobile phone, we wrap together with a plant, and we use as many metal foil layers as needed until the point the mobile phone is not answering a call from a participant to that mobile phone wrapped in. And then we wrap out that mobile phone and use the number of layers to wrap again the plant into that metal foil, just to show engineers and scientists that there is no electromagnetic interference or radiation coming in or out. And that is, I can tell you, it's very surprising for many engineers and scientists. They cannot understand what is happening. Because even spiritual people sometimes think of electromagnetic communication when it comes to telepathic communication. So what is happening is the following. The participants need to ask respectful that plant in that metal foil whether it would be willing to communicate yes or no. If they receive a yes, then they ask about the healing power. And they get information, drawings, where, in which body parts this plant is doing the healing activity and this kind of things. And it's very important to know that none of the participants, nobody is knowing what is inside. They cannot smell, they cannot take this in their hands, they have no idea what is inside. This is the point where the mind is helpless. He has no idea at all, and he must leave that whole communication to the right hemisphere, to the consciousness. And that is a very overwhelming experience, I can tell you, because after the participants then ask the mind and the inner aspects whether the information or what information has been altered, they remove or add the corresponding information, and the result is a pure 100% truthful information. We unwrap then the plant, and we immediately look to the 2 or 3 first Google entries when looking healing power plant. And you know what? The hit ratio by the participants after 2.5 days telepathic communication is 100%. Even scientists and engineers, 100%. So that is extremely strong, and that gives so much confidence to all the participants to using more and more telepathic communication, that this is an exercise we really recommend. And there is another thing, because telepathic communication is based on an open heart chakra, love-based. You can, as the leader of that exercise, during the exercise, communicate continuously with a plant and asking whether all the participants have a very good connection or not. that is something you immediately during the exercise receive feedback telepathically by the plant. That is fun. That's a lot of fun, I can tell you. And if one participant, for example, receive a no, that the plant is not willing to communicate with that participant, we have that from 101 or 2 people, then you know that the heart chakra is close, that there is a disrespectful communication, for example. So you can work with that participant very focused to open the heart, and you can communicate with the guide, for example, of that participant, with the spiritual animal, with the plant, how to handle that. Even the participants will not recognize what you are doing during the exercise, but that is a very strong interaction you can have with the plants. They can identify whether the heart is opened or not. And because telepathic communication does not allow lying, if one participant tells something and the plant, so for example, the participant says, "I love you, dear plant," and the plant immediately recognizes that's not true because you don't like us at home, that they know that, they immediately give that feedback. So that is very much about open the heart, being more and more in love if we cooperate with plants. And this here, this chart you see here, we used during our symposium event in front of the participants, where we now even we use a carton box, a big carton box, where we put in the plant with all the metal foil around. And then after that exercise, we open that box. I recommend to work with plants in your telepathic communication events, because the participants, they learn to be in love when communicating with other beings, and they erase their confidence in telepathic communication. So now we do an exercise, and I assume most of you have your favorite plant with you, all right? And I will lead you through that exercise, and we will have 2 different questions. For all those who would like to open and run a telepathy center, we will ask the plant the question, is it now time for me to open a telepathy center? That is the question for all those intending to open a telepathy center. We ask the plant. For all those not planning to open a telepathy center, you just ask the plant whether the plant has a message, a personal message, and you would like to hear that message by the plant. Okay, so I think it is clear that difference of questions, and I will lead you through the exercise. This image here should remind you on your creativity. So you have your plant in front of you, or is in your living room or whatever. You have the imagination where your plant is. It could be even a herb or piece of wood, by the way. And then this butterfly should remind you on being creative to project yourself in front of the plant as a little being, as a fairy, as yourself, as a human being, as a light being, as a bird, whatever you feel good for, and whatever your fantasy would deliver to you. It is to be in joy, to have fun. And now I would remind you, please ask the plant before whether the plant is willing to communicate with you and then ask your question. That is the background, and I will lead you now to the exercise. Again, please sit in an upright position. Relax your muscles. Close your eyes and breathe slowly and evenly. In and out. You feel wonderful, comfortable, and you are so much looking forward to that conversation now. And now you step out of your body, project yourself as a being, as your favorite being in front of the plant. And you feel that love to that plant, and you give this plant a hug deep out of your heart. You express all your love to that plant. You smile. And you ask, dear plant, may I communicate with you and ask a question? And if you receive yes, now ask your individual question now. The first answer which comes into your mind, please remember and open your mind.